Oh, here we are in the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast to talk about a Christmas blessing. I'm joined by three former New York Islander greats. Ray Ferraro, of course, is here all the time. We've got Pat Flatley and Glenn Healy. And this is, I don't work very hard. I work efficiently. That's how I've lasted this long at this level. And Heels is chuckling already.
That's the most honest thing said on the show.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to let you three guys talk about the good old days with the Islanders because you did have some good days back in the day, back in the 90s, and I'll just get the hell out of the way. So, first of all, why don't we start picking on Ray?
Why?
And you can both take an initial jab because it just feels Ray has explained that his role with the trio was kind of like at the third wheel. Right?
By
so
far.
You guys would go for dinner and he was like kind of the tag along. Is that a safe assessment?
Well, Ray had a nickname, right? It was the Seagull, because if he wasn't squawking, he was shitting. So, I used to love it with Ray. There's a couple things. Christmas memories. The one that stands out to me is the time that we played in Chicago, and poor Ray broke his leg. And we got snowed in Chicago, which we're probably going to get snowed in Canada anytime soon. So we spent about 4 days in a hotel in Chicago, and Ray there with a broken leg and desperately trying to get back to an orthopedic doctor. And when we landed in New York to go to the Isle to play the Winnipeg Jets, we all hopped in cabs. We didn't have a bus. And Ray's cab broke down. So broken leg, broken down on the Long Island Expressway, waiting for one Islander fan to pick him up. And that was Ray's Christmas memory from me to you, Ray. And
well, okay, I'm going to jump really quick. You bastards left me at the airport with Tom Curvers, the late Tom Curvers. He was the only guy. I come out, I got my bag, I'm on crutches. And these idiots, we got a game today. And they just left me there. I'm at the airport. What a leadership. Here's our captain, Flats. I got a game to play today. And he's already sweating. And like Heels jumped in the cab. And the cab literally broke down on the Long Island Expressway.
Was our trainer Ed Tyberski at that time? So
yes,
Ed, who was one of the few trainers in the league with, is that narcolepsy when you just fall asleep without for any reason? So he probably was sleeping and he was supposed to be driving you, but he's still on the bloody plane when we land. So it's a long way from today, when you trainers and everyone, geez, the doctor would have met you at the airport, Ray.
Yeah, do you remember, honestly, Eddie's passed away now, and, you'd turn around in a game, and you go, hey, Tiber, towel, because you got to dry your shield. And he'd be asleep.
Standing up, that's not easy.
Yeah, he's not the only one who had narcolepsy on our bench, Greg, I'm telling you. Half the team was asleep for the game as well. But the other great Ray thing I love is a jewelry story. This is another great one. And Ray's very generous for his better half. When he would go to a team and he would be number 20, he would make a beautiful diamond-encrusted necklace with 20 on it.
I forgot about
Then he got traded. He became 21. Then he was 33. He was 38. Like, Ray, I'm going to give you a little Scottish love. Keep with the same frickin' number, and you don't have to go buy a new one every time you get traded.
I came to the Islanders, and just short of hanging in the rafters, somebody was in number 26. I couldn't wear it. Flats is wearing 26. And could you imagine trying to make a deal with him to get the number from him? I would have had to carve off an arm.
I gotta tell you guys the story of how I got 26. So I got to the Islanders, and Dave Langevin was 26, and Bill Torrey says to me, well, that 6'5", 240-pound defenseman is currently wearing 26. Do you want to go to him and talk to him about it? I'm like, yeah, no. And then he says, well, 2 and 6 is 8, so you're number 8, and shut the frick up and talk to you later. That was it. No choices.
How about when you bring up Bill though, Bill Torrey just he walked into the room and it was pretty clear, that's the boss, that's the GM. Al came in, that's the coach. All this discussion in the press today with all the managers and coaches and stuff, that never happened.
No.
Like, did you guys ever have a long conversation where you felt like, oh yeah, I think they're taking my advice here with Al and Bill?
Well,
Never.
I did a few contracts I negotiated on my own with Bill, and my lasting memory of doing a deal with him was, he says to me at one point, he goes, Pat, the owner asked how many players in the league can do what you do. And I had to be honest and tell him a lot. So then Pat, the owner, says to me, well, then why would we pay Pat? Can't we just go get another guy? And you know, what do you say to that? So I said, oh, Jesus, Bill. I'm stumped. Anyway, it worked out fine, but that was the type of how Bill had a sense of humor, but at the same time would drive the point home. You know, and him and Al both had an ability to be harsh or elegant, but their message was very clear. To Ray's point, there was no room for debating.
Well, what was your talk with Al? You must have had one with Al for sure.
Well, let me just jump on Bill for a sec, because Bill he had a great way of negotiating, right? Which was, he would bring you in his office, and this is back when they could send you to Wuhan. Like, there was no waiver. You know, so Glenn, you're going to Wuhan.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Have fun. Don't forget to wear a mask.
Stay away from the bat. Anyways, in the office negotiating a deal, and at the very end, and he probably did this with Pat, he did it with you too, Ray, and Bill would say, "Do you notice anything different in my office?" And I would think, "Wow,
I remember this
painting behind me? No, I've had that for years. Oh, the desk, is it new? Nope. When I first moved into Coliseum, this is my desk, the desk I have." So I'm stumped. I don't know. I'm running out of objects to talk about. And he basically says, "No, I have a pen in my hand, Glenn. The number I write down is the number you take." Now, that is great negotiating. I can
Yeah.
But, the one thing, Flats brings up a great point, but they worked so well together as a team. So clearly at the podium, that's when you build your team. 7 times when you name a player and you draft a player. We can't all be spoon-fed guys like Pat and Ray when they got drafted in the first round. Excuse me, I didn't get drafted at all. But the podium, you build your team, and then the team was given to Al to develop. And when the player wasn't going to be developed, then it was up to both of them to say, okay, time to get rid of him and send him to Wuhan. And they did that for 20-plus years together. And, Flats and I have talked about this. It should be, hey, if the GM wants to fire the coach and he's hired him, you're both gone. You both should be on the same hook.
Yeah.
That was the partnership that Al and Bill had. Develop the player once I draft him, and if he can't be developed, he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, Flats, so you were drafted by the Islanders. Heels and I came in trades. Heels, I was a 5th rounder. I was not a first rounder. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no, I saw you in the WLHL, whatever that stupid league is in Western Canada.
Well, I was shooting on guys like you.
You were the year, 190 goals in 3 games. Like, I get
it. Ray's dad in the penalty box, keeping the stats.
With the score sheet.
Mom's roughing.
So Flats, you show up there. Your first round pick, the Islanders win 4 cups in a row. And, I assume that was pretty intimidating, no, walking into there?
Yeah, my first practice, speaking back to Al, was terrifying. And I had just landed because the Canadian Olympic team, because we were lucky enough to have Al Eagleson as our concierge, took us to France after the Olympics for 3 exhibition games against these bloody club teams. Why we're there, nobody knows, but we each got $1,000, so we're like, holy shit, this is amazing. So anyway, I get to Long Island, go to the rink, and I have the most terrible practice you could possibly have. And afterwards, Al walks by me, and I just said, "Hey, Al, I just want to apologize. I'm about that practice. I'm just terrible." And he says, "Yeah, you were, and I hope for your sake you're a lot better tomorrow, or you're going to be gone forever to Springfield." And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So,
Slept well.
Like it
Slept
wasn't
well,
like,
did you?
hey, that's I understand, man. You flew all night, blah blah blah. He's like, hey, you'll be done. And then Clark Gillies, he sees what's happening. Like this is the beginning of Al's Yoda like mind games with me. And Clarky's like, let's go. I'll drive you back to the hotel. So he stops at a deli, picks up a 6-pack. He's like, we want a Bud Light? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I just got back from France, for God's sakes, which is probably why that practice didn't look so good. So he says, you're having a beer. And we do. And Clarky just kind of talked me through about Al. And it was probably one of the most meaningful building experiences for me, because I firmly believe if Clarky hadn't have spent that time with me and I had a sleepless night and worried about Al, it could have been a whole new thing. Could have been down the minors right away.
It would have been
How
tragic.
about you, Hales? You got one? You got one with
I
Al?
was just thinking about Flats there. Like if honestly, if it didn't go better, then gosh, the Islanders wouldn't have won another Stanley Cup.
I was waiting for that. Scumbag.
They made 2 games. We're talking to one of them.
There's no. That's why they call Flats the closer. He came in there, and that was the end of it all.
Right.
How about Al had to give it to you though? Hales about something.
I mean, look, you recall the game we had in St. Louis, and he didn't start in that game, and I was very pissed off that I wasn't playing. And then the game started, and I realized that player and team B showed up for the game for the Islanders that night. About 7-0 halfway through the second. And in St. Louis, you couldn't sit on the bench. You had to sit in the Zamboni. So I'm sitting with the Zamboni driver who's missing all his teeth and is basically smoking as the game goes on. And, it gets to 7-0. Brett Hull scores his 6-0, his hat trick, and the hats filter onto the ice. And Al says to Ray, go tell Healy he's going in. So Ray makes the long 170-foot skate to the Zamboni and knocks on the glass. Zamboni, what's on? It's not time for the Zamboni yet. F off. No, I got to talk to the goalie. So they open up the doors. Comes in. He goes, Heels, Al wants you in the net. I said, go tell Al to F off. What? Go tell him. So shut the door. Zamboni driver keeps smoking and doing his thing. Ray goes back to the bench and says, Heels doesn't want to go in. And I think of that. He told Ray to tell that fat blank he better go in the net. So 170-foot skate back. What do you want again? Open up the doors. You're going in. And so, hey, Al was great. Radar was his nickname. And that team, because nothing escaped him. He caught everything. And when we beat Pittsburgh that time in Game 7 with a great pass from Ray Ferraro to David Volek, and we celebrated and stopped to get what we were only allowed 2 cases of beer on the bus. That's it. We stopped to get the beer, and of course, Flats and I can't count to 2, so it was really 7. We decided to pass 5 up to the emergency exit, and we walked on the bus, Pat and I. I was the choir boy with the bells, and he was the choir boy with the holy water. And 1 case each, only 2, right? That's all we got. And Al looked at us and said, I saw the other 5 go through the window. He was just a lovely man.
Another Al story with Glenn, Dregs, and Ray. Ray, you probably remember this, but as I was coaching the kids, I learned from Glenn, it's never the goalie's fault, because the forward, if he doesn't lose the battle down the other end, it doesn't even get to our end. So Heels had this good way of never it being his fault. So he would give the defenseman shit nonstop when a goal would get in or something. So Gary Nyland came back to the bench one game, and I guess he said, I'm going to punch our goalie in the face if he says one more word to me and knock him out. I don't care. Al's like, Flatley. Al says, get over here. He goes, tell that friend of yours in the net to shut his frickin' yap, or the defensemen are going to come and kill him. And this has happened during the game, like Ray, like Heels was just talking about Ray. Just unbelievable stuff. But that's what made that team what it was. Like there was no hidden, no secrets. It was just flat out.
Now, you got to finish the story, Flats, which is you go tell that goal. Okay, so Flats comes down to me and I can see, Buckethead coming down, and
That was a big helmet, wasn't it? Big helmet.
Here's his knee brace. Screech, 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 screech. He comes, stands in front of me. I'm like, what? He didn't say a word. Nothing. All I can smell is pesto pasta on his breath. He just looks at me, shakes his head a couple times, then leaves. So back to the bench. You tell him? Yeah, I told him, Al. I told him. He didn't say a word to me.
I didn't want to get you hotter.
How about Flats, when you look back there, and Heels, you did have in a time where goalies didn't have great looking equipment, you had the worst goalie setup of all time. The helmet with that stupid cage that you had on, and you'd lift your mask up to get a drink of water. Oh my God, your face was as red as Flats' shirt right now. And you'd be steaming. And the one thing you could do is you threw the darts. When the defenseman lost their guy, you would throw darts like you'd be like, uh-oh, something bad's going to happen here. Whether it was Richie Pilon or Gary Nyland, or we'd be like, oh boy. Because you were really good at keeping things level, Heels.
Yeah, well,
you were pretty.
It's hard to get a nickname Head Case Healy by just being normal. And the equipment, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, what did it get me? I mean, 400 stitches in my face. I severed my finger. I had the most illegal pads in the league. I mean, in Montreal at the Forum, I couldn't even walk through the door. I had to go sideways to get through the door at the Forum. And every time they came in to measure the pads, remember Jim Gregory was the pad measurer, I would have like Ed Taberski lay on my pads because he was 400 pounds. And they would and then the minute Jim Gregory left, I don't even know if he knew how to measure it. We had the tape this way. No, Jimmy, it's the width. Okay. God rest his soul. And then we go back to the vice on the pads and whoop, here we go. Go gadget illegal pads.
Ray, do you remember when Mick hit Glenn in the head that first shot in practice in warm up?
Yes, because you know what, Flats, I was thinking of that this morning. If I remember, so this is Mick Vakota. He's our tough guy. If I remember, we were at the practice rink, and you had to walk along the end of the rink to the side door to come on. And Mick was late for whatever reason. He was late, and Heels is already on high alert. Mick comes down.
It's a 3 o'clock in the afternoon practice, and he's late.
He hits Heels dead center. It was like an eject button. It hit him right dead center.
Then the way Heels comes out of the net with his stick up, like chasing Mick around the ice. And Mick is looking back, just laughing. We're all cracking up, but Heels is losing it. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Well, that was really funny. That is so funny. Now, I can tell you, we had our Islander reunion, and the Islanders are great. The ownership brings everybody back. Ray doesn't come because there's nobody to carry the rickshaw in because its royalties arrived, so that's fine. Flats and I
okay, by the way, you guys all live a 45-minute flight away. Hey, Ray, in the midst of your 200 days away from home, do you want to come in for 4 hours? I can't. Heels, nothing would make me happier than to spend a weekend with you listening to your shit in my ear. And to get berated by Flats for not putting the puck on my fucking stick. Put it on my stick.
Well, so two things. One, Mick Dakota, the first thing he said to me in that reunion was that, hey, I'm sorry about that one practice. I'm really sorry.
From 30 years ago.
And you're 200 days away from home that you live. Oh, my gosh. It's really 400 because you got to work with Pierre Maguire. So you got to times everything by 2.
Hey, by the way, that maybe, I don't know because I wasn't at the reunion, but Flats, when everybody showed up, was Heels playing the bagpipes? Did he force everybody to listen to him again?
No, Susie forbid him from taking them on the plane. He wasn't allowed. I know, thank God.
Susie's a saint.
Thank God. By the way, I had to room with him when he was learning. So when he had no air, he just had the little fiddle thing that he had to learn how to play. So I had to.
I had to
play that flute.
Does that sound better? Does it sound better? Like, how can you tell the difference?
Your grade 3 kid's flute. Like you're just learning how to play it. It's gross.
I brought Ray again. He had another broken leg. I mean, I don't know. Did they not have milk when you were growing up as a kid?
There was none in Trail. Just lead and zinc.
It was a mining community. Sans cows.
This week for you. Ray's dad paved every one of the roads from Vancouver all the way to Ontario. So, and Ray worked inside the drum where you had to chip the cement. Now you know the rest of the story. Anyways, I brought Ray to a Highland Games. You know, just think about this, Dregs. You know, Scottish music, bagpipes, kilts, haggis, whiskey, Wayne Gretzky whiskey.
Beautiful.
You had it all.
Yeah.
And Ray sat in his chair, and you know, he sat amongst a bunch of people. They had a cooler full of beer. Again, broken leg. And at the end of the day, he like literally took the cast off himself and ran back to the hotel. He was so sick of bagpipes at the end. It was a mess.
But have you guys, honestly, Heels, I know you've been around the world and really done amazing things with your piping. I mean, for sure. Have you ever listened to a song with the bagpipe? It starts every song in the history of bagpipes starts the same. It's a guy with the snare drum, and he rattles around for a bit, and then you hear, and then it all kind of sounds the same. Like Flats, am I wrong with this or no?
They're an instrument meant to be played outside. And so when you play them inside, that's why they sound so shitty. Because you're supposed to be outside getting ready to go to battle. That's why they played them for those idiot Scots to like make them run across a field and start, you know, chopping people's heads off. You watch Braveheart.
We went for dinner one night. We come back to Heels. We're with the Rangers. We come back, and of course with Heels, it doesn't matter what time it is. Hey, you want to come in for a cold beer? Holy smokes, have we not had enough cold beers? Can we go home to bed? So we go in anyway. We're going to have a beer just before the end of the night. Heels walks off into the back part of the house, and all of a sudden you hear like that I don't even know what it is, but when you're tuning up the pipes, and Susie's like, "Oh God, he's going to play the pipes." It's 1 a.m. Can we? And he comes in. You're right. It's got to be outside. It's too loud.
Only the
inside.
people that hang around Glenn get earaches in their 30s. Otherwise, it's just little kids.
Well, hey, getting a chance to play with Paul McCartney, pretty darn good. And it wasn't. It was a pretty good song. I'm just saying. The second last song of his set before "Let It Be." You might know that one. You know, I think that was.
Is that when he retired? Is that when he retired and said, "I've had it"?
No, but the only reason I picked them up and learned them is so I could actually get to play at the Air Canada Centre, because I never played there for all 4 years I was with the Leafs. All they did was play Cujo every game, so at least I got a chance to play there.
Heels, do me a favor, because I'm going to get the numbers wrong. Tell me, when you were playing for your favorite coach, Mike Keenan, you started like, were you 4-0 and Mike Richter was 0-4, and then you didn't like? Can you kind of run us through that little thing there? And then your next game was, I don't know, New Year's Day or something.
Well, Mike and I, we broke up almost immediately, as you would imagine, right? He would want to have a line drawn in the sand, and once that you drew that line in the sand, he would know not to push forward. If you never drew the line, he was going to keep going. And then get a bulldozer, and then a backhoe, and then cement traffic. You know, then the next thing you're in a crater going, how did I get here? Mike did diabolical things. I know there's a commercial that's on ESPN years ago, and we were playing the Islanders. You were still on the team. So was Flats. Thank you for costing me a couple $1,000 that one year in the playoffs, Flats. But anyways, you know, here we were playing. You guys had beat us every game. And the thought was, Glenn comes from the Islanders to the Rangers. He'll play and take down the Islanders. And so we were 0-6 or whatever we were that season series with you guys. And it came to, all right, all the coaches will put on a sheet of paper who's going to play the game. So, all right, Dick Todd, Healy. Colin Campbell, Healy. Mike Keenan, Healy. And the Mike looks at the three of them or two of them and says, that's it. Decided. Richter plays tonight. Like, he wasn't Attila the Hun, but he was a family member of it. Like, no question. But, yeah, we had broken up pretty early. I can tell you that.
Well, you know, you bring up you bring up the playoffs thing. So, Flats, I think this is one of the greatest all-time practical jokes that was played because of Heel's love of his own wallet.
I don't remember this, but go ahead, keep going.
I know.
Okay, so the Rangers knocked us out of the playoffs in 3 games. They made us play the 4th game. I don't know why, but they swept us out of the playoffs. So we go to dinner. I think Greg Gilbert was there too.
I remember now.
Smith and
Malinsky's.
Yep. Would you like to take this with the ring bell?
Oh yeah, sure. So there's this bell at Smith and Malinsky's. It's there from when it opened from the Madison Square Garden, the early days of boxing. So that's the original bell that they would ring to change the rounds. And so I was a regular there, and Glenn had never been there because it cost more than $20 to have dinner. So that's why he had never been there. So I said to the owners of this place, I go, look, I'm bringing a guy here. He's going to ring that bell tonight. And if you rung the bell, you had to buy a round for the whole bar. And there could be, 60, 70 people in that bar when you're eating. So sure enough, we had it all figured out, right? I told the waitress, come with some wine and beers early, normal stuff, but then disappear. And then we're going to see what Heels does. So Heels is like, where the F is this waitress? This is nuts. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe ring that bell. Get her over here. So he's like, for fuck's sakes. And he rings the bell. The whole bar stands up cheering. And that's it. It cost Glenn about $3,500. And everybody's coming over saying, oh, Glenn, thank you. Thank you for the Manhattan. Every person that stopped by our table, Glenn had the same response. Go F yourself. Every person. Mr. Healy, thank you so much for the Manhattan. Go F yourself.
Well, it was about a $3,500 bill. So let's be honest, which is 10 times more than Flats' wedding. And he actually invited all his wedding guests to the bar that night, knowing I'd ring it. So that would be the first drink that he bought them. But, it's bad luck if you pay the bill. So I had no choice but to pay the bill. But the bait was set. Lure was on the hook, and stupid me did it. But
outstanding.
Anyways, hey, Ray could have rang the bell, but he couldn't reach it.
Hey, put it this way: I'm 5'9", and I'm taller than our goalie. What does that say about hockey in the 90s?
Yeah, exactly.
I do have to say, I know we got to wrap up here. Dregs just sent me a text here, but so I got to say, honestly, I don't know that I had 2 more favorite teammates than Flats and Heels. Flats and I used to argue on the bench. We're on a line with Benny Hogue.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'd be like so intense, and Hoagie would be sitting between us. And I'd be yelling at Flats, and Flats would be yelling at me. And Hoagie would go, would you 2 effing guys just shut up? He couldn't take it anymore. We'd just be... But if the puck went in the corner, I got it. I got it because Flats got it. The very best. The very best. How he did it with these knees that had... His knee braces, Heels isn't even joking. They were made in 1947. These things. They were just... I couldn't believe it.
And handed down from the 80s, yeah.
Heels had the biggest heart of any goalie that I played. I thought we dominated Game 7 against Pittsburgh and just bad break, and then we won it in overtime. Somebody sent me a 25-minute clip of Game 7, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh my God, we had 3 shots. They all went in. The puck was in our net, or in our end, for like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
and it was one of the greatest goaltending performances ever. So aside from these guys being flat out hilarious, amazing teammates. And I walked in there and I was like, Jesus, this is the place I'm supposed to be. And
Ray,
so
just about the on the bench arguing, when I got to the Islanders in 84, like that was every guy on the team, like JT and Sutter and me arguing, like, so it's healthy, right? Like I sometimes I watch games now, and I never see anyone talk to each other on the bench. Even they got nothing they're not pissed off about nothing, or they just keep it inside. I don't know.
It's way more calm. You know, the guys have the tablets now. They look at the play on the bench. Could you imagine, Flats, if I got the
that tablet would be thrown out on the ice. Like it'd be like, give me that tablet. Gone. Hit the ref.
Okay, last thing I'm gonna
get a 10-minute major.
Last thing I'm going to bring up with Flats. Heels told us you were skating this morning, which I really don't know why you would ever do that. But you were out there by yourself.
Well, sometimes.
What were you working on?
I was out there.
What were you working on?
I was out there with a good friend of mine, Pete McCrae, today. But we just do a couple of shooting drills, and then, honest to God, I got the tunes going and just do laps, and every 3 minutes change direction, and just as miss skating. Really, that's about it.
Oh, they're still looking for the Titanic to this very day, so why not, Flats? They're still looking for the Titanic. Well, why not see if we can find you? Every Wednesday. No, I just say, Ray, kind words, thank you, but great teammates, great leaders. But I think, the true leadership we showed the best was when Al Arbour was really sick, and we didn't wait to go to his funeral and put on our best suit and say what we had to say when he had passed away. We all went down to Florida, the three of us, and sat with him, and the conversation was just like this, but just shows the character of the two guys that Dregs, you weren't there, so I'm not including you in that, but the character of the guys that were there. And it meant everything to Al, and it meant everything to Claire, and it probably meant everything to us. So two great guys, great leaders, great teammates. And there's no replay on the score sheet. Volek scored, but by Pittsburgh, and they were dismantled after that. So game on.
Well, guys, you have a Merry Christmas. I hope your families are all well, and you guys have a great Christmas. And Heels, I'm sure you got somebody lifting snow for you because you wouldn't be strong enough to get it out of your driveway.
Hey, Heels, don't you have a green party meeting to go to with Susie later? Sorry, couldn't resist.
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah, have fun. Have fun there. Don't forget to bring your head of lettuce. All right.
The stories will never get old. Thanks for doing this, and have a Merry Christmas,
all right,
fellas.
Thanks, guys. All right, bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into our YouTube channel. And while you're here, why don't you do us a solid? Hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, you'll get access to all the latest uploads. You can stay updated on the latest news and interviews from the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast.
It only takes a couple of seconds, and from what I'm told, it helps with our algorithm thingamajig. Anyway, We appreciate the support.